Good day and welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for this month's WednesdayWise webinar. And I'd like to welcome you all back to IFA's WednesdayWise webinar. Since the pandemic, we've been on a WednesdayWise webinar hiatus while we've been conducting and producing our Road to Recovery and industry sector blueprint webinars, and obviously the IFA coronavirus update webinar series as well. At least starting with this month, we are pleased to bring back the WednesdayWise webinar. So on that note, as always, we are recording today's webinar, and it will be made available on franchise.org, but specifically on community.franchise.org under the member-only section. And today's presenters are Kurt Gerwe and Ian Murphy with AdsWiz. We have an awesome topic for you today, and I think you're all going to learn a lot. They'll be covering the importance of digital audio advertising to the franchising community. So on that note, I would like to turn things over to Kate. Kate, please take it away, and thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Hi, everybody. I'm Kate Gerwe. I'm the VP of Marketing for AdsWiz, and Ian and I are going to be talking to you today about digital audio advertising and a great new product that's relatively new in the market. It's been out for about a year that you can all take advantage of, and we've been having great success in the last year. So what I'll cover today is the opportunity in digital audio, go over the product AudioGO and provide a demo of that, and then talk very specifically about the opportunity for franchises, both franchisees and franchisors, and walk through 3 different success stories that we've had with different franchises or franchise type of buyers, and then present you with a special offer, and we'll have some time to answer any questions as well. So when we talk about digital audio is different than kind of terrestrial radio, what you listen to in your car. Digital audio is, think of streaming music, Pandora, iHeart, Spotify. And just as a quick aside, our company, AudioGO, has been created by a company named AdsWiz. We are wholly owned by Pandora. Pandora is owned by SiriusXM, so we're part of a larger organization. But streaming music, online radio, when you're listening to the radio, like online or local news stations, podcasts on NPR, The Daily, Serial, others, everything you listen to through smart speakers, connected cars, any kind of listening through your phone is digital audio. And why is that important to kind of talk about the difference between digital audio and terrestrial radio? Well, what makes it different is when people are listening to music and podcasts and news and smart speakers and all these things today, you can target it. You can do very unique things, and we'll talk about it in a bit, to target exactly who's gonna listen to that. So you can say, I only want women aged 25 to 35 to hear this, or I only want it to be heard in this specific zip code. And so there's really interesting things you can do to target your message, to personalize your message, and then you can measure literally to the person, to the listener, how many listens, how many clicks, how many people have listened to the ad all the way through. So it's much more of a personalized experience, and there's a really great opportunity. Now, when you think of audio, we all listen to Pandora and Spotify and podcasts and have connected cars and smart speakers are in the home. It is really becoming an integral part of our lives. Before the middle of the day, before lunchtime, people have already listened to 2 hours of digital audio, whether that's waking up in the morning and listening on your smart speaker, or getting in the car, or when we used to get in the cars in the morning and listening to your favorite songs from your Bluetooth on your phone. It is pervasive. It is part of our everyday life. And the numbers are pretty staggering. 84 million people each month in the US listen to digital audio, and that is now officially more than radio. So you've got a huge audience that you can reach with audio. They listen on average 4.5 hours every day. It's It's a lot, and it's just kind of there, you know, when when we used to be in the office, or if you're, you know, in a restaurant, you're listening in your car, you're listening to podcasts. It's kind of always there. And the increase in recall versus like display advertising, when you hear an ad, you will be much more likely, 24% more likely to remember, oh yeah, I heard that. Oh yeah, I remember that. And you think of it, it's logical. When you hear something, it often sticks with you more than if you're on a page and there's like a banner ad sort of off to the side. So it's a very, very effective, very pervasive medium. And now in this kind of strange upside down world that we live in, it's really a big part of this new normal that we live in today. In a study that was done by Nielsen, 83% of consumers said they're listening to as much or more radio or audio as before the pandemic, and 60% of them really hold it in high regard to trust that it'll deliver them timely information. And 42% have said it's helped them deal with the crisis. And what that kind of gets to is that there's something about the experience that, especially if it's like a podcast and it's someone that you're listening to on podcast, or if it's a news person that you trust, or even a radio, a station, your own music, you know, streaming station, there's something that we really trust, the medium. So it's extremely powerful, and it's a really great way to connect with your audience. It's personal, it's immersive. You can precisely target your audience. You have their undivided attention, especially if it's like a podcast, or listening to music, or you're like this woman out on a run or something, and then you can measure it. You can measure it literally down to the listen. But if you're a little franchise, if you're a smaller business, typically you wouldn't think of audio. You know, you'd say, well, gosh, you know, I don't have an ad. If you called up Pandora and said, hey, I want to buy audio advertising, they typically would say, well, you have to spend at least $10,000, you know. And if you're a small franchise, you'd say, you know, gosh, it sounds complicated, you know, I can't really participate in advertising in this medium until now. There is a new product called AudioGO. What we've done with AudioGO is we've aggregated Pandora, iHeart, TuneIn, Cumulus, Entravision, and we've put them all in one easy to use place on the internet, audiogo.com. And it's think of it as, you know, if you do Facebook advertising, if you do Google advertising, it's a very similar experience, but for audio. You log on, we'll make an ad for you, and you can, with one simple screen, select your audience, drag and drop, upload your ad, say when it wants to run, and your credit card, and you're good to go. And you can pause it at any time. There's, you know, no commitment or anything like that. You can target by age and gender, so you can only reach women. You know, if you say, I just want to target women age 25 to 34 that live in my zip code, you can do that. You can target down to the zip code level. So for very small businesses or franchises where you really want to get your message out just in your local zip code, you can do that now with audio. We have both Spanish and English, if there's any Spanish speaking folks. And you can also, if your product is that type of product, you can say, well, I want people that listen to country music or jazz, or you can, you know, do news, you know, spoken word as well. So we have genre targeting as well. You can be up and running in 5 minutes if you have your ad. It takes, we say 48 hours, but it's usually within 24 that you'll get your ad. And you'll get a full demo here. You can track your progress against how much you've spent, you know, how many unique people have heard your ad, how many have listened to it through it all the way. You can track your progress at any time, and you can pause your ad at any time if you're saying, well, I don't know, but it's very, very transparent. So it's something that is, we launched it a year ago, and we've had fantastic success. So we'll be doing an announcement actually later this month about technically coming out of beta. It's in beta, but it's really been up and running as a full-fledged product for over a year. And so with that, I am going to hand it over to to Ian. Ian, let me know if you are there and can take over here. Is that?
Thank you so much, Kate. So I think everyone should be able to see my screen. If you can confirm, Kate, if my screen's up here.
Yep, we can see it.
Awesome. Well, yeah, so just as Kate mentioned about all the benefits of digital audio and now how AudioGO is making that accessible for buyers of all sizes, we wanted to kind of really give you an actual view of the product itself. So this is AudioGO, and really, you know, the way we're looking at it is almost, you could think of it like the Google or Facebook ads of digital audio. It's a one-stop shop, it's self-serve, it's easy to get campaigns up and running. You can monitor your campaigns at any time. So all you need to do is go to audiogo.com, and we'll provide you a link and even a special offer, as Kate mentioned, after this, so you can sign up directly. Very simple sign-up process. You just click sign up here. Go ahead and fill in your name, last name, email address, create a password, and then go ahead on to next, and kind of typical stuff. We'll send you a confirmation code for you to finalize your account. Once you have that finalized, what will happen is it'll take you to what's going to be your dashboard. So this is the first thing you'll see, and we actually have a link here that will give you a quick tour so that you can go ahead and take a look at the platform. But as Paul mentioned, this will always be available for it's downloaded so that you can view it at any time. So here's what your dashboard will look like when you first get started. So it'll say, hey, create your first audio campaign. But before you do that, we also want to make sure that you have an audio ad. And as Kate mentioned, you know, in the past, a barrier may have been, well, you know, I don't have a professional audio ad to use, so how can I do that? Well, we've actually integrated that service here. So if you go ahead and click onto request audio ad, give me 1 second here. So when you click onto request audio ad, it'll take you to this form. So what you'll see is it's very affordable. So we've partnered with a professional voiceover company. They have professional voice actors, and we're able to provide a professional audio ad. And you know, these guys do the ads for the Coca-Colas of the world and all the big brands. It's only $10. And so that's what we've been able to do. We've partnered with them to get a really good value, because we didn't want to make it so that now that you found this great advertising tool, you have to, you know, cost you an arm and a leg just to get the ad. So we didn't want that to happen. Very straightforward. All you do here is fill out this information for your script. And with AudioGO, the ads are 30 seconds or less, which is why we ask for a 70-word maximum. And we have all the resources that you need to create a great ad. We have a blog post about, you know, audio ad script writing best practices to make sure that you have all the tools that you need to do that. We can even help with script writing and creating templates. As an example, for franchises specifically, we are able to do what we call localization. So we could create, for example, a national or a at the brand level ad, and then we can have that you know, given to our creative team here, who can then localize it for each individual franchisee. So they can say, hey, come visit us at this location. You know, here's how to get to us, and visit us at this website or this phone number. So we can absolutely localize it down to the franchisee level, and we can work with franchisors on that to really have a streamlined process to make it easy for your franchisees. But yeah, so you fill out your script here. And as Kate touched on, we do have Entravision and SVS, a few of the largest Spanish audio publishers in our network. So we are able to reach Spanish listeners. And so we also want to make sure that we can create ads in Spanish for you. So we do have that capability here as well. All you do is go ahead and just select the language. Next is going to be the voice type. So here you have a couple different options between male and female. So go ahead and select the voice type that you'd like. Then you go ahead and select the background track. And we have a few different options here, and you can always click in to get a preview of what the ad will sound like. And then lastly, any instructions that you have for the voice actor. So if there's any special pronunciation, any specific tone that you want the ad to have, go ahead and leave that here. And then we'll pass this along after you hit accept and hit submit the request. We'll send it over to the team, and as Kate mentioned, it's typically within about 48 hours. Lately, it's been closer to 24, which has been great. And as you see here, we're also very flexible for revisions. So if in case there's anything wrong with the finalized ad, once you get it back for review, or if something's off, let us know. We'll work with you to revise it for free to make sure that the ad sounds how it needs to sound. So once you have the ad and everything's good to go, next what you want to do is create the campaign. So if you go back to that dashboard, you'll notice in the top right, there's the create new campaign page, and that will take you here. So here's where you go ahead and enter in the information. So you put in your campaign name. Here's where you put in the campaign budget. And with AudioGO, you can decide on how long you want the ad to run. So it can run for a day, for hours, for a week, for a month, entirely up to you. So you go ahead and select when you want the campaign to run. For example's sake, let's just say we want it to run for a week. And also one thing to note here with AudioGO, there's no long-term spend requirements or commitments. There's no subscriptions or memberships. The only minimum requirement we have is a $250 campaign minimum. But on top of that, you could spend whatever you need to reach your marketing goals. And at that $250 level, we'll have about 13,800 audio ads that will be delivered for you. So it's a lot of reach and very affordable. And so after you fill in your budget and your campaign schedule, you'll start to notice on the right that our audience guide will populate. And this is really helpful when you're building out campaigns, because this will help you understand how many ads we estimate will go out based off of your budget, as well as how many unique listeners that we're going to reach. So those are the two key metrics here to keep an eye on. It's also helpful to see kind of the total market availability. And right now we haven't selected any targeting. So we're looking at all of the US, which is why we have about 285 plus million impressions available. We have a very wide reach across the US throughout all of our publishers and partners. With AudioGO, you can also do day parting and select the day and time of the week that you want the ad to run. So it's simple to use. You click this and then drag and drop for when you want the ads to go. Not a necessary feature, but something that you can use if you'd like. Here's where you drag and drop your audio ad. So after you like it, let's say you have revisions or maybe you don't, go ahead and drag and drop it into here. And then just let us know if the ad's in English or Spanish. We just want to make sure to run it on the right type of content. With AudioGO, you can also include companion display banners. So these are free of charge. They don't count towards your budget or anything like that. But we do want to make sure to include a display ad, and this will show inside of the streaming app player when the ad's running. So while the ad's playing, if they pull up their phone and open it, they'll be able to see the display ad there. We have a few different sizes that we recommend, and that can be found in our FAQ section. But we do recommend kind of using all three sizes to maximize your exposure. Next here is the destination URL. So we want people to be able to tap and click on that display ad and go somewhere. So that's where you'd put the URL here. And you could absolutely use UTM parameters for Google Analytics tracking. This billing reference piece is optional. It's in case you wanted to use different credit cards for different campaigns, then you could go ahead and leave some information in here, but no need to fill it out. Most important really is how you can reach your audience. So as Kate mentioned, we have a few different ways to do that. And with AudioGO, you could target by location, gender, age group, as well as content type, which is broken out by music genres, as well as what we call talk content, which is really talk radio shows, podcasts, that type of content. Anything that's non-musical kind of falls under that bucket. And so with location targeting, we have a lot of different options, and you can get down from the state level to the county level. We even have DMA or MSA available, as well as even more granular, you can get down to the city or zip code, and you could absolutely use a combination of these features. So it's very simple to use. As an example for zip code, all you do is enter in the zip code, that'll populate, and then you go ahead and select it. To give you an idea of how the audience guide works, I want to pull a smaller county up in Northern California. So as you see, you just type in the name of what you're looking for. You'll see different options pop up, city, county. So here, let's go ahead and choose this county. And anytime you make adjustments, the audience guide will start to populate. So as you can see here, now things have changed. So the more narrow your targeting gets, the more chance that the same listener can hear the ad multiple times, which is generally speaking what's kind of a good rule of thumb. Now, of course, with AudioGO, you can absolutely do campaigns where you just want to get as much reach as possible, or you just want to say, hey, I want to reach as many individuals as I can. And to do that, you just keep your targeting fairly broad. So you can always refer to the audience guide to see how things are going. And if you do want the listener to hear the ad multiple times and help with that brand recall, make your targeting narrow, and then just keep an eye on this. Right now, as you see, it says, hey, your audience selection is good. To give you one other example of when we might have too narrow a focus, our audience guide also takes that into account. If there's not enough available impressions, which is fairly rare in this particular case, it's a very small county in Northern California with a very small Spanish-speaking population. So here you can see it'll kind of show bright red and say, hey, look, your audience selection is too narrow. We likely won't be able to fulfill your budget. So please broaden your targeting, or make your campaign, have it run a little bit longer. So you'll always be in the know while you're building out your campaigns. Definitely keep an eye on that audience guide. But once you schedule the campaign and it goes live, and it should go live in about 5 or so minutes if you want it to start immediately. And I know we kind of talked through this and I pointed each thing out, but this page, we've timed it. It takes about 2 minutes if you have the audio ad ready to go, so you can get campaigns up and running quickly and easily. Once your campaign's running, or if you have multiple campaigns running, this is an example of what your dashboard will look like. So you get real-time data for your campaign. You'll always be able to see how your campaign's pacing against the budget, how much time is left on your campaign, as well as how many ads have been delivered, how many unique listeners we've reached, and then a couple conversion metrics here, the listen-through rate, or for how many people have listened to the ad all the way through, as well as the click-through rate. If you do include that display ad, we can absolutely track how many clicks are coming through to that as well. At this more macro kind of campaign dashboard view, you can always edit your campaign. So let's say you feel something's off, or you want to change the targeting that you've selected. Simply go ahead and pause your campaign here, click into the campaign, click edit, and then you'll go ahead and be able to make the necessary edits that you need to. Then you can go ahead and start the campaign back up. So a lot of flexibility with AudioGO. And one other thing I wanted to point out as well is this campaign level report. And not only with the dashboard that we just saw, but with this, you can always export these reports so you have all this information as needed. But our campaign level report gives you a little bit more insights into what's going on with the campaign. So here you can see kind of your impressions on a daily basis, as well as a bit more information about the distribution of your impressions across the content type, which can help you optimize your campaigns in the future. Same goes for listeners. So you can look at your listener trend, as well as the distribution of listeners by content type. And then lastly, you can see the clicks on a daily basis as well. So you'll be on the know of what's going on. You can see how your campaign's performing. And then one other feature here that we've released recently is this duplicate campaign feature. So this could also be helpful for franchisors and franchisees. Maybe they own multiple locations and they want to do multiple campaigns that are similar. You can simply duplicate the campaign, make the slight edits that you need to, then go ahead and schedule it, and it's up and running. So this is the platform. Again, it's designed to be very straightforward, designed to be easy to use, self-serve, where you can always go ahead and check in on your campaigns and see how they're performing. And so yeah, that's the platform there. So what I'll do here is I'll go ahead and turn things back over to Kate. So just give me one moment while I do that.
Okay. Okay, so I'm assuming, thank you, Ian. We will have time for questions too at the end, so folks, don't worry about that. But thank you. I thought that was a great walkthrough of the product. What I'll do now is talk very specifically about the opportunity for the franchise community. So we've had, as I said, we've had great success over the last year with the product. There are some very specific opportunities with regards to franchises that are emerging, and I want to share with you some examples of those. Why this is effective for franchises is you can reach national audiences kind of with a national message, but locally targeted. So to speak to the audio ad creation localization, what some companies have done, and what you can do is say, let's say you create a 30-second ad. The first 20 seconds are the same message, but the last 10 are the local call to action, or any local specific discounts or, local messaging. We can do that for you. We can create, with, large amounts of ads if you want for a franchisor to make these available to the franchisees. And then a franchisee has the control at the local level to spend their budget or however that works, but to actually log in, create the account, and run the campaign. So you can have consistent messaging with local targeting, kind of the best of both worlds. We also, in terms of the billing perspective, the product is, like Facebook and Google and those products, it's typically credit card, but we do have a couple of examples where there are national campaigns with a number of local, kind of franchisees, if you will, running the local campaigns that we can set up sort of unique, payment invoicing and payment opportunities. So it's a really great way to give control at the local level, but have consistent messaging nationally. Really, that's kind of the main thing here. Let me walk through 3 examples. The first one is Berkshire Hathaway Real Estate Services. We have an arrangement with them where they promote AudioGO to all of their 50,000 reps, and I think 1,300 brokerages, 50,000 agents nationwide. And there's a number of different co-marketing things that we do. But what we've done is as you saw in the demo with Ian, sometimes when someone says, hey, I want to do this, I don't have an audio ad, you go to the ad creation page, and the first thing that happens is you've got to write a 75-word script, and you get writer's block. and you're like, oh gosh, okay, what do I do now? So in this case, we've actually written scripts. And for the agents, they can go there, they can have a script to start, they can edit it, they can use it as is, they can, it just gives you a starting point to kind of get over that hump. So we have that. We've got marketing collateral, we've got all kinds of things. And then the local, in this case, it's the agent has special offers or discounts or things like that. So I'm going to play. I'll play a few ads so you can kind of get a sense of how it sounds. This one was produced by us. I think they wanted it to be kind of high energy and upbeat, but this is the kind of level of ad that a local real estate agent is playing today.
Are you ready to buy or sell a home? Looking for an expert agent to ensure the process is easy and stress-free? Realtor Sean with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Associated Real Estate in Tehachapi is the agent for you. Realtor Sean has received multiple 5-star reviews and is looking for his next 5-star client. Give him a call today at 661-750-7035. That's 661-750-7035. Call Realtor Sean today, 661-750-7035.
So in this case, you can, one thing is that clear call to action, and in his case, it was a phone number. There are, I think, as you saw in the demo, there's there's dozens and dozens of background music tracks to select. So it can be kind of upbeat like that. It can be serious. It can be light and happy. I mean, there's all kinds of different music tracks. So you have a lot of, this one was produced by us, and you have a lot of flexibility and creativity on that front. So that's kind of an example of a real estate agent and a relationship that we have with a national organization, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Second is Paul Mitchell. So Paul Mitchell cosmetology schools, I think they've got maybe 40 or 50, maybe more than that, around the country. And in Salt Lake City, they were promoting a new tuition grant to increase enrollment. And so they created a unique landing page, and they ran an audio campaign for 1 month. And they put in very explicitly in place tracking around website visitors, and then said, you'll get a discount if you come in and mention this. So they were able to track new students that came in specifically from the audio campaign. Now, since the student tuition is $17,000 per student, they were able to attribute very explicitly to the campaign 3 new students, which made it, fantastic ROI for them. The thing with audio too, we showed you the you can and should, put in companion banners, but click-through rate is not often, should not be an exact measure of success. So this was kind of one way that they were able to measure, they said, mention this when you go in. So they were able to kind of measure, but it really is one that kind of, it's in people's minds, you hear it, and it's quite effective. So I'll play this ad that Paul Mitchell School, that they ran.
You love empowering others to embrace their unique style. Now, how do you turn your creativity into a dream career? Enroll now in the cosmetology program at Paul Mitchell The School, located in Logan, Ogden, Salt Lake City, and Provo. We are offering $1 million in scholarships, and financial aid is available to those who qualify. So don't miss this incredible opportunity to start your new career. Learn more by going to paulmitchell.edu/Pandora.
All right, so that was extremely successful for Paul Mitchell. And then finally, this is an example. Unfortunately, there are no concerts these days, but Live Nation is as you may or may not know, they're a national concert promoter, and they've got dozens of local reps promoting local concerts, in their area all around the country. And so what they were trying to solve for is they had kind of a central budget for marketing, but they have these reps that would need to, scheduling these small, they were like $250, $500, $1,000 here and there, the few days before the concert on like Pandora and on music services. And this is where they could do the genre targeting. So what we did is we worked with them and signed up all their reps, and then we would bill them centrally. So this is also an example where we can be flexible, where that we bill them centrally. They loved it because the reps could go in, they had a certain budget. They said, if it wasn't this easy, I wouldn't use it, because they could go in, and as Ian pointed out, you can go in and run an audio ad in like 2 minutes. And so we saw tons and tons of ads for all the different concerts locally around the country that were running. It was kind of fun to see which concerts were running in which parts of the country, because these ads, but they were very, very small. So it would have been very difficult, for example, for Pandora would not be able to manage these small ads. And it's also difficult centrally for someone to kind of coordinate that. So it was a great sort of national, local solution to their problem. And I think this may be a comedy one. There's a lot of concerts, but I think this may be an actual
Stand-up comic and podcaster Chris Hardwick is coming to the world-famous Punchline Comedy Club in the heart of downtown San Francisco. Thursday, February 27th through Saturday, February 29th. You know him as the host of the Emmy Award-winning Comedy Central show At Midnight, and from his hit podcast, ID10T. Don't miss Chris Hardwick live at the Punchline. Get tickets at punchlinecomedyclub.com. These shows will sell out.
And another great thing to point out about this, we've had different when there were events, and they will be coming back, but there were when there's something time sensitive. This weekend we're doing a fair, or this Friday night we're having a special at our restaurant, or when you're something that's time sensitive. Audio is a really great medium. We've had so many happy customers write in and say, all I did was I did a few Facebook ads and audio ads, and I had such a great turnout at my event on Friday night, or at my restaurant, or at my XYZ. So there's with this, it also highlights that audio is a great medium, and specifically AudioGO for these kind of very local, time sensitive and small. You just kind of want to get $250 or $500 to promote something that's happening. You run the ad for 3 days, 2 days before the event. With that, I think this is our last. I think we'll take questions now in just a few minutes. As Ian showed you, audiogo.com/IFA is just will know that you came from here. But you can go to audiogo.com or audiogo.com/IFA, either one works, to sign up. We are offering $100 off your first campaign. So the promo code here is there on the slide. It's IFA Go Web 100. If you use that promo code and run a campaign for the minimum is $250 for any size, you'll get $100 off. So we wanted to highlight that and say thank you. We know your time is valuable, and it's our way of saying thank you for your time and for being willing to learn more about digital audio advertising and AudioGO. So I think on that, I think we've got questions. I can leave this up if people want to see the promo code and the
Yeah,
URL.
yeah, Kate, this is Paul. Hi, why don't you go ahead and leave that up? And we do have a number of questions. And I think we have plenty of time to get through them all. But first off, let me just say, Kate and Ian, that was very insightful and very interesting. So thank you very much. Really appreciated that. So the first question from Jerry. When a digital audio ad starts, does the listener have to listen to the full 30 seconds, or can they skip forward past the ad? Similar to how you can skip forward in a YouTube ad, for example.
That's a great question. I was going to point out in Ian's demo, but I didn't. I should have. We have on there a metric that's called listen through rate, and it's LTR. And if you saw all the listen through rates, it's what % of your population listen through the ad all the way through. And they're typically 95%, 97%. You know, we have always well above 90% listen through rates. They play on when it is partly a function of people, the experience. You know, they're listening on, you know, iHeartMedia, or they're listening on Pandora, where you can't skip the ads. But it's also kind of when people are doing things that might be running or cooking or on their smart speaker or driving, and so you don't kind of go through it's not sort of like a YouTube experience where you're sitting there waiting for the countdown to happen to skip ad. So people typically, the listen through rates are very high, and it's measured. You can see exactly how many people listen to your ad all the way through.
Excellent, thank you. Next question from Chris. How did you know those 147 new website visitors are attributed to the Paul Mitchell campaign? Yeah,
that's a great question. They had, if you heard in the call to action, they said go to paulmitchellschools.com/Pandora. So it was the only place that URL was promoted or mentioned anywhere, was in the audio ad. So that was one specific, that was the way. That was the very simple way. There was a company that we had worked with on the sort of measurement and attribution that built the landing page and all of that, but that was how they did that. So you just create, and you can, you know, if you have a website in your franchise, you can create a unique URL, and then you just have the URL redirect to your website, and then you can measure the pass-through rate in that URL. We have a company that we work with that has kind of tips, and I don't know if we have a blog post on the site. If not, Ian can get you more information on how to effectively measure, you know, how to measure effectiveness of your audio campaigns, because there are ways you can do that.
Yeah, and real quickly there, Kate, that good pointing it out. It is live on our in our blog. We do have a blog post with mentioning how you can really measure and attribute audio campaigns. So yeah, that's absolutely on our website, and it's available to look at and see how you can best do that for yourself as well.
Great.
Excellent. Next question. Actually, Ian, I think you may have covered this, but maybe you could just repeat it. Can you buy day part as well as choose the type of digital?
Yeah, so with AudioGO, you can absolutely day part your ads. After you select the campaign schedule, there's just a button there, and it'll open up kind of a calendar. So you can choose the day and time of the week you want the ads to run. And as you can imagine, that was something that was heavily used for folks who wanted to reach, for example, people in rush hour traffic. You can go ahead and select that time and that day. And then for the second part of the question, as far as what you can choose with AudioGO, you can choose your audience. You can choose gender, age group, the content type. So you do have a lot of choice in terms of which type of listener you reach. And overall, it's really, sometimes we talk about it as AudioGO is kind of like an audience buy. You're you're trying to reach certain people in certain areas with certain characteristics, or maybe they listen to certain music, and that's why we have multiple publishers to kind of ensure that you can reach that listener. So that's kind of how it works in terms of what you can choose with AudioGO.
Excellent. And I was waiting for this type of a question to come up. I was thinking about this. And this is from my good friend Marcia. Has AudioGO been used by franchisors for franchise development? If so, do you have any examples of a budget and the possible results? So basically, has anybody used this for Fran Dev for seeking out new franchisees?
That's a great question. I don't know, and if you send us an email, we can look. We've had thousands and thousands of campaigns, and I don't know off the top of my head. I probably should have for this. We have had lately in the COVID times, we've had a lot of large companies, like public companies, I don't know, Albertsons or that have been trying to staff up. So there have been different. So it would be the equivalent like
Campaigns and yeah.
But and they'll say we're hiring in this area, or they're looking to hire people. I also know I do hear those on the radio. I know those. I mean, I hear those audio ads in terms of seeking out franchisors. So this definitely is a medium for doing that. But I'd have to look through, and we can get back to you on that to see if there are any examples of that.
Yeah, wonderful. No, that's so Marcia, we'll get back to you on that. Thank you. Good and good question. Next question: are there budgets for franchisees that aren't out of reach when it comes to a reach CPM level?
Yeah.
And I'm going to I was going to tie in. He has this gentleman has a couple other questions, but we'll start with that one.
We'll start with that one. Yeah, that is a great question, because that really is the sweet spot of what we're going for. The minimum campaign is $250. So we'll see local, and they can be franchisees, or they can be just little small businesses that will run a $250 campaign that might stretch 1 week, 1 month, 2 months. But we kind of feel like that is within, it's not, you don't have to spend, that's the minimum is $250. So we feel like that is kind of within the reach, as you can have that run over as long as you like. And you'll see, you'll be able to measure on your dashboard every single day how many people heard your ad, and you can pause it at any time. So yeah, we're definitely trying to make audio advertising easy and affordable.
Wonderful. And are you also able to target buying habits as well?
Great question. Coming, sort of. We are adding more targeting capabilities around broadly, I'm just going to say behavioral. So right now you can target women, 15 to 34, but we'll be adding on different things like, and these might not be the exact segments, but you want to target like fitness enthusiasts, or, working moms, or I don't know, different things like that. Right now, no, but probably I'll say generously by the end of the summer, you should be able to.
Excellent. Your ads, I think I know the answer to this question, but I'll defer to you guys. Do the ads go on Spotify?
That is a good question. Yeah, they don't right now. You never say never, right? But they don't now. As I mentioned in the beginning, where this comes to you from a company called AdsWiz, and we're owned by Pandora. But we were bought by Pandora a couple of years ago, and when Pandora bought AdsWiz, at that time we were the ad tech provider for Spotify, for Pandora, for iHeart, we are for NPR, we are for TuneIn, for Cumulus, for Cox. So that's how come we can do this, is that we already are the underlying advertising technology solutions provider for all of these large audio publishers. So it's not on Spotify today. But
like you said, never say never.
Never say never.
You never know.
It's not today though, no.
Exactly. This is a good question, and let me preface this question by saying, in franchising, most franchisors, if not all of them, have an advertising fund. So this question is coming from a franchisee. If you are a franchisee and have ads created but want to add a local tag at the end, what could you do?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's exactly what the problem that we're trying to solve as well. So I think what you're saying, what you would do is you'd send an email to Ian. No, but I think what you're saying is that you always have an ad that's produced, but you want to swap out the last 10 seconds with a local call to action. I think, Paul, is that the question?
Probably yes, or maybe specifying, that people should go to this franchisee's location, something along those lines.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so we can definitely work with you. Our partner on that creates the ads for us they're great, very flexible. So if you do have a situation like that where you said, I've got this ad, but I want to change out the call to action to be a local call to action, we can do that for you. We can make that happen.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that as well, we can handle all kinds of localization. As we were talking about, we've done it for groups like Live Nation, for Berkshire Hathaway. So whether it's you already have the ad and you want to add that last 10 seconds or swap that out, we can do it. Even if you don't have an ad and want to do localization, we can absolutely handle that. So I know Kate was joking, but maybe do email me and we could talk about it and we'll get it set up. So happy to help out there.
Excellent. Next question from my buddy Dwayne. What are your clients' most successful media platforms?
What are their most successful media platforms in terms of, Paul, do they mean other media outside of?
It wasn't specified, but let's assume, other platforms outside of AudioGo, or what AdsWiz provides through their parent companies and so on and so forth.
Okay, I think I'm answering the question, but if not, I encourage who's ever asking the question to type in more into the question so that Paul we can clarify. We actually just did a survey about, we have ongoing dialogues with our customers, and we have chat boxes in the products, and we do surveys, and we try to listen as well as we can. And so this is from like a month ago, it was well over 70%, 70 or 80% also do Facebook ads. So we thought, that's interesting. And we asked what are the other forms that formats, how else are you promoting your business? And Facebook was the top one, Google was next. And then it kind of went down, from there, and it was more, it gets a little bit more industry.
If I can interrupt you, Dwayne said specifically, Spotify, Apple Music, TuneIn, etc. So those
the other, okay, so that's a good question. Let me try to answer that. It's a little bit longer, but it's good context. So Spotify, in all transparency, Spotify, they've got a self-serve solution called Spotify Ad Studio on their platform. It's an awesome solution, by the way. So I very much support it. The difference with them and us, it's very similar in sort of what you get. Spotify is a subscription service. So you are only advertising on Spotify. And if you think of like 80-20 rule, and it's not exactly 80%, 20%, I don't know the exact percent, but the large majority of their listeners are subscriptions, so it's ad free. So if you're a small business and you say, oh, I just want to play audio ads in my zip code, and I only want women to hear them, oftentimes on Spotify, there isn't enough ad space, ad inventory to deliver against your budget. And what we've done is we've taken, now Pandora is kind of the opposite. They're more ad supported, so 80-20. They're a smaller percentage is subscription and a much larger percentage is ad supported, and they both have about the same monthly listeners on a monthly basis. We've taken Pandora, which is primarily ad supported, and we've added in iHeart, TuneIn, Cumulus, Cox, of Spanish language. So we've got a lot more inventory. So we've done some, this is just, I'm going to say it, but I probably shouldn't, because we've done some kind of like, okay, let's run the same ones on both. And we think we have about 10 times as much available inventory. And I don't know what the exact number is, and it depends on the ad you're running, but the value for a very, very small business, well, not very, very small, for someone that wants to very locally target, is we've got a lot more available inventory. So it was a long answer to a short question, but I hope that, and then to my knowledge, you can't do online self-serve audio advertising with Apple or any other services. I think the only one is Spotify.
Awesome. Thank you. Next question, and I'm not sure what UTM is, but how do you get the UTMs generated?
Yeah, I can take that one, Kate. So the UTM parameters are, really, it's for tracking with your Google Analytics. And so it allows you to kind of link up that, whatever the display URL you choose, you can link that to your analytics, which will help you say, hey, we've had this many clicks and that sort of thing. So I just wanted to point that out in the demo to show that we do accept that in that field. And in order to generate those parameters, I believe Google has a service that you can do that. If you go to Google and type in, create UTM links, it should pop up, or I believe it's also it should be within your Google Analytics platform. You should be able to create them there. So yeah, just wanted to point out that it's something that we do accept in that field, and it's not going to cause any issues, and it can really help you in terms of tracking.
And I do want to jump in there too, that where the audio advertising is one of these unique things that the clicks are, it allows you to track the clicks. And if you may have seen in the demo that people are noticing the click-through rates, and it depends, but kind of where people are listening and what they're doing, but they're typically pretty good. But it's for audio advertising, you don't want to typically only look at click-through rates as a measure of success, because people are hearing your ad, they're listening to it. A lot of times they'll hear it a couple times and then they might go onto Google and search and find you. But the way you got into their psyche and the way you got your message across to them was from the audio ads that they heard.
Absolutely, great point there.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So next question, you guys may have covered this, but if you have one message to be used for 7 business locations, can you run one campaign and select 7 different demographics? And then the second part is, will the data show per each of the 7 demographics, or do we have to run 7 separate campaigns?
It's a good question. Ian, I'm going to start and maybe let you take it. So if one campaign across, let's say it's 7 cities, you can easily just run the one campaign, select the 7 cities, and it'll run across all 7. I think in the reporting, Ian, will it show you how many ads played in each of the cities? Is that right?
So that's something the team's building out right now. So as you guys may recall from the demo, we can see the distribution of impressions across content type, but currently we don't have the location available in the dashboard. It may be something that we could pull manually, so we can kind of take that piece offline kind of in the interim while the team's building that into the product. But it doesn't show it across locations just yet. But as you're mentioning, Kate, you can so you kind of have a few different options here. You could run one campaign across and then use those 7 different demographics, if you will, or different locations, and just choose those in the targeting. And that absolutely would work. You could also, like you mentioned, create 7 different campaigns, which may really help with tracking and also allow you to do some testing. And the good thing about AudioGO is it's not going to take too long to actually create those different campaigns, because as you may recall as well, we have the duplicate campaign feature. So after you build one, then you could just go in, click duplicate, scroll down to the location and just make the slight edits. And that way you can track things likely a bit better. So it's entirely up to who's running the campaign. I just wanted to note that you do have that flexibility to run it a few different ways, and we'd probably recommend, and Kate, let me know if you think the same, we'd probably recommend the different campaigns just for better tracking and allowing you to do that. So yeah, that'd probably be a recommendation, but you have the option.
Yeah, I was just going to say I'd recommend the 7, and even to jump on that, we had one customer run across 50 locations. And this was before the duplicate campaign feature. That was one that she was requesting a lot. And kind of to highlight, it's pretty easy to create a campaign. As Ian said, it takes about 2 minutes. But once with that duplicate campaign feature, it's even easier, you know. So yeah, we'd probably recommend just running 7 different campaigns, but it's pretty straightforward process. Okay. Anything else there, Paul?
Oh, I am muted. Yeah, my bad. We should have time for at least one or two more questions. Most people first think about music and digital audio. How robust is the talk genre if one feels a lot of customers?
Good.
If one feels a lot of customers coming from that genre, rather. Sorry.
Yeah, good question. We actually do have it's a larger percentage than you think, though I don't know the exact percent, that do target talk genres. And we do have a fair amount. We won't go back into the demo. It probably would have been good actually to pull down the talk piece, but it's free to go sign up and you guys can go in and pull down the talk piece, but it's fairly robust. I can't remember off the top of my head. Remember what their Ian, what some of the talk genres are?
I can absolutely speak to that. And yeah, apologies, I didn't highlight that on the demo. As Kate mentioned, we do have a lot of users who focus on the talk genres, and really that content is anything that's non-musical. So you could think of talk shows, radio shows. Some podcasts are included in there, and we anticipate we'll have more of those fairly soon. But it's all broken out by category. So you could almost think of it similarly to the music genre, where we're not picking individual stations or anything. We're picking rock, we're picking jazz, we're picking alternative, that kind of thing. Same kind of thing goes for talk. So you can pick by category. We have it by business, education, kids and family, sports, science, technology and culture, even true crime, politics. So we have a lot of different categories in there. So I certainly recommend creating a free account and playing with that. And one last thing I'd note on the talk genres, really just with any campaign, it's definitely important when you're building that out to keep an eye on the audience guide, because that'll help you understand how much inventory is available for, let's say, the business talk genre in a particular zip code or a particular area. So you'll be well informed if there's kind of ample inventory and what your reach is going to be by using that audience guide. But yeah, that's kind of the basics on the talk genres. It's very popularly used by a lot of our advertisers, and it seems to work very well.
Right, and that's great to highlight, like sports, kids and family. I mean, you really can do some targeting within there, but keep an eye on the audience guide. That's great. Thanks, Ian.
Excellent. And one last question. If all franchisees are using the call to action to go to a main franchise website, from there go to a location to book appointment, is the data able to track the clicks on the main website and tie it to each separate campaign?
We'd have to talk with you. It'd probably be good to jump on a phone call and understand what kind of. So I think that the question there is like, you're saying there's an audio ad, you're saying go to xyz.com, and then on xyz.com you might pull down the local like I want to San Francisco, and then you go to the local one, and can we track that all the way through? That was the question.
Yes. And we could always, and we could always follow up, Nicole, we could, I'll have Kate and Ian, follow up with you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah.
I guess I think the answer is I don't know. But if the answer is I don't think so, what you could also do then, if it's a, local restaurant, sorry, I'm just going to use CPK because my kids like CPK.
Sure.
You're like cpk.com/San Francisco as the call to action in the audio ad if you're running it locally. We can produce local audio ads, and so then you can better track kind of traffic there. And you could, in the ad, it's the best way to track 100% is say, use this promo code, Pandora or whatever, and then you'll know whoever used the promo code came from the audio ad. That's one way to go, but I still don't know if I fully answered the question. So
That's okay. Nikki's going to reach out to you, and I'm giving her my email as well, just in case. But listen, on that note, Kate, Ian, I cannot thank you enough. This was very informative, and I hope everybody who participated today enjoyed this as well. And again, I just can't thank you both enough, and can't thank AdsWiz enough as well. AudioGo looks like a very interesting program that I think our members and the franchising community will really enjoy. So thank you for bringing it to our attention today, Kate and Ian. Really appreciate it.
Great.
So on that note, everyone, we did again record today's webinar, and it will be made available on community.franchise.org, believe later this evening. And as always, I want to thank you all for your membership and your support. And please know that during these difficult and challenging times, IFA is standing with you. The franchise family and the franchise community is standing with you, and we will continue to get through this challenging time together. And again, Kate, Ian, and AdsWiz, thank you so much for this very informative webinar today. And hopefully everybody will be able to join us for the next WednesdayWise webinar. And on that note, enjoy the rest of your day, everyone, and stay safe. Thanks again, Kate and Ian. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate the time. Thanks, Paul.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.